Hello, everybody, and welcome to Virtue Field in Burlington, Vermont. I'm Brian McLaughlin, joined once again by Matt Montel. Matt, an international friendly today for Vermont Green FC, taking on CS Mont Outremont. First off, it's a hot day. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm going to do my best to stay cool up in this this bird box, as I like to call it, but yeah, it's glorious out. Another beautiful day for soccer.
We're lathered in sunscreen, and I can tell you right off the top, both teams have agreed to 11 different possible substitutions today, so we're going to see a heavy rotation of players, both in the starting lineups, which we'll get to momentarily, but also once the game starts, a lot of new faces today.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I were talking about it before. We're seeing, I think we have one starter from the last match that we just had, but you're going to start seeing a lot of the other players trying to make a name for themselves into this. Players such as Kamal, who is actually a veteran, but didn't start last week, but we know his quality, especially in that 10 position. I'm very interested to see how Adam looks out on actually the left side than the right side that we saw him in the second half, and also as Pope as well.
We're going to break down the entire starting lineup in just a few minutes. We've also got a pregame interview with assistant coach Chris Taylor coming up in just a few minutes. But, Matt, back to just overall what to expect today. This is a team that have a lot of different players in, but it's got to be kind of that same formula, right?
Yeah, I mean, as a manager, you set up your system, and everyone trains under that system. So the whole point is that once you do have those rotations, everyone that comes in, if there's substitutions, injuries, all those things, everything that we saw from last season, they come in, they understand their role, they understand what they're supposed to be doing from there, and I think Adam is going to convey that to this team, this heavily rotated team, and tell them that, listen, we're looking for the same style of play, we're looking for that sense of possession that we had last week, we're looking also for that very solid defense, that clean sheet again, and also playing out of the back. He's going to be asking, especially his two center backs, watching, Ashford and Ochoa passing out of the back, pinging those 40-meter balls to their forwards, breaking two lines and getting this constant sense of attack. He's going to expect the same.
We're going to get to the full starting lineup in a few moments. It will be Zach Barrett and Mark O'Neill starting at those center back spots today. But up top, third different game, third different starting striker. It's Alfie Pope, the man from Creighton, getting his first start at the top of the formation today, Matt. What can you expect from him as he tries to put his stamp on that top spot?
I think expectations is that for him, he's going to understand that this is kind of his moment to make his claim, to be potentially a starter more consistently from there. I think we were blessed with Bjorgolfsson, who was just this almighty, powerful number 9, plays with his back, physical, great strike, good in the air, just ticked all the boxes from it. Right now, we have these very dynamic, like 3 forwards, but they don't have the exact same presence. They're not the same player, and that is 100% okay. But right now, I think Adam is trying to figure out, all right, who's going to be my number 1 more consistently from that? And this is Pope's chance to start, in this first half at least, to make his claim.
Dennis Kruchenkov, DK, he started last time out at striker. Expect to see him coming off the bench today. We're going to get into the full starting lineups in just a few minutes, but for now, we'll step aside as I sit down with assistant coach Chris Taylor with more of our pregame show. And I'm now joined on our pregame show by assistant coach of Vermont Green FC, Chris Taylor. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time to join our pregame show. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Always excited when we got a game tonight.
It's an international friendly, the first of its kind for Vermont Green FC. But before we dive into that, Coach, getting to know your background a little bit. You're the head coach at Plattsburgh State, and you're, for the second season, assistant coach here at Vermont Green FC. Tell me about your experience in year 1 and what it's been like in your second year working with Coach Pfeifer and the whole staff.
I mean, year 1 was nothing short of unbelievable, to be honest. I didn't know Adam before this, to be honest. We kind of got to know each other through some mutual acquaintances, and, it's definitely one of the best experiences I've had. Once I got here and working with the staff and the players and the owners, I was just, blown away from day one. So, once we knew we were going to get the chance to come back, I've been counting down the days, to be honest, and somehow it's gotten even better. So it's been an unbelievable experience, so rewarding. When you love soccer as much as I do, this is a dream.
I'm curious, you're a head coach in the fall and the spring. What's it like stepping here and being an assistant? A little bit of a different role for you. How have you tried to manage that? What's it been like kind of in a different type of role?
Honestly, that's something I was a little bit curious about, but it's been perfect. Adam as a head coach is unbelievable, and to be honest, for me personally, I've developed a lot learning from him. even though we were both head coaches at the same level. Like, he does things a little differently to me, and I took a lot from that. And, you know, my favourite thing about coaching is actually running training and being in the sessions. Yeah. That's one of his least favourite things. So it's perfect. I get to kind of be the leader of training most days. And again, working with these players, training becomes so much easier. And it's great. I mean, I think he trusts me a lot. I trust him. And again, I think we've kind of bounced off each other, but ultimately he's got some great experience, and I just try and follow what he wants and what he needs and try and implement that for him.
No question, you're off to a good start in league play so far. 2-0 in the Northeast Division, 2 3-0 wins. What have you liked about your team's performances through a couple of games so far this year?
I think the best thing is we haven't seen our best yet. Yeah. You know, I mean, 2 3-0 wins where I think we haven't been totally satisfied with the full performances. There have been some great moments, of course. There's been some unbelievable individual play, but I think there's more to come, honestly. You take Friday night last week, the first half was okay. Second half was better, but, you know, we still think there's so much more to come. But the individual quality is phenomenal. I think one of the nice things is, and it comes from Adam, is the guys figured out a lot of problems on the pitch during the game. And, you know, we love to see that. And I think there's so much more to come from the group. So that's the best part.
This is obviously an exciting week. The friendly tonight against CS Mont Royal Outremont. And then over the weekend, you've got a big home match coming against Seacoast United. How are you guys trying to use tonight to get you maybe a little bit prepared for Saturday, but also make sure everyone stays fresh for the big league match coming up over the weekend?
Yeah, I think, you know, the squad is unbelievably deep. I think we could put out 2, maybe even 3 starting 11s that could compete at this level. So I think tonight's a really good chance for guys to show their quality who maybe haven't had that opportunity yet. There's some guys who just arrived as well who were kind of expecting some big things from. So it's a chance for them to get some minutes in the legs. And really, we're still trying to figure out what works. You know, I think the name of the game this summer is rotation, is keeping people fresh. Who's going to be at the best for different games? It'll be a bit of horses for courses. And so I think tonight we'll see some people we haven't seen in a game. We'll see some guys who, again, have just arrived, and let's see what level they're at right now. And so I think it's a really great preparation for the weekend.
Coach, I really appreciate the time. Good luck today. Great to get to know you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much.
As Vermont Green FC prepare to take the field against CS Mont Royal Outremont, we welcome you once again back to Virtue Field. I'm Brian McLaughlin with Matt Montel. And Matt, it's the first ever international friendly in club history, making history once again in year 2. Great to welcome our friends from Montreal into town. Should be a really fun evening.
Yeah, welcome, neighbors. Good to see you down here. We tried to provide you with the best weather that we possibly could.
It's warm at least.
Yeah. It's warm is one way to describe it. It's definitely turning into that typical Vermont summer where you bake for about half the day and then you're cold in the morning.
And they are certainly baking. I've got 88 degrees as we prepare for the opening kickoff. We've got fans going in the broadcast booth, but I mean, maybe an ice bath is waiting for us at some point tonight. Vermont Green and CS Mont Royal Outremont, because of the heat, and it's of course a friendly, have agreed to go with 11 different substitutions across 3 substitution windows. We're going to see a lot of different bodies out there, Matt, to keep track of. How are you looking at the depth tonight for Vermont Green? A big league match against Seacoast United coming Saturday. What are you going to be watching for some new names that we haven't seen? We're going to get into the lineups momentarily. But overall, just a lot of different pieces in a similar type of setup and formation than the one we've become very familiar with.
I'm expecting Adam to honestly heavily rotate today, just because of, A, the temperature, just in general, too. It's also the beginning of the season. A lot of these players, they haven't had, that typical top-tier, elite, professional amount of, 3 months of, conditioning to get prepped up. They've only had about, 3-4 weeks at max to kind of get up to speed for it. So I'm expecting a heavy rotation. I'm expecting not to see the same starting lineup or even most of these players at the second half. Maybe I'll be surprised from it, but I do expect Adam to try to get eyes on the performances of almost everyone that he has in his roster right now that is actually here. I'm very interested to also see kind of what Kamal kind of brings back. Yep. We saw Kamal absolutely shine last season. I am expecting him to kind of show the same level of performance, but you never know. Sometimes one season is different than the other, so we'll see. I'm going to keep my eye on him. And then, again, as I mentioned before, Adam's out on the left. He seems to be dynamic. You can play him on the right. You can play him on the left. Not a lot of players have that kind of dynamism to their game for it. So it'll be interesting.
Let's meet the lineup for CS Mont Royal Outremont. The visitors from the north, they play in League 1 in the Quebec League. They're going with that 4-4-2 formation that you can see. Gabard Fanayon is the Haitian goalkeeper. They go 4 across the back with Anis Gaiz. He's from Algeria. Then in the middle, LP Campagna and Ulrich Bellinger, a couple of Canadians, with another Canadian on the right-hand side in Emile Legault. Across the midfield on the left-hand side, they start Kevin Lenoir, another Canadian, although he's from France. The Canadian just to his right is Nabil Sayada. Then Yannick Damien Toker with Maxime Oliveri. Up top, Amadou Bayo, he's from Guinea, starts on the left-handed side with Xavier Ranger starting on the right side of the top of the formation. So a 4-4-2, Matt, for the visitors of the Griffins. And, of course, for Vermont Green FC, it's back to the familiar 4-2-3-1. How could you see those two formations clashing tonight?
I think with the 4-2-3-1, the insurance that you get is that you do technically have a designated extra midfielder. Kamal sitting just in front of Probo and Clarity, he drops back in and he helps shield kind of the defense when they're out of possession versus kind of a 4-4-2. That requires a heavy amount of work out of both of those, technically those two center forwards that are a partnership up top. They have to drop in and help the midfield in, and generally that's kind of how you set up your system, how you practice it, all those kind of things. So it'll be interesting to see, all right, well, how do they play the 4-4-2 versus how almost a 4-2-3-1 requires you to play out of possession.
Nathan Schnurr getting his second start in net for Vermont Green. Nathan Messer on the left-hand side, the only man who was in last weekend's starting lineup against the Albany Rush. Mark O'Neill, of course, a returner at center back with a Vermont Catamount, Zach Barrett. His partner, Carter Bolia, gets his first start of the year at right back. And then in the midfield, Giorgio Probo, along with Jack Cloherty, who we know, but Probo, the Italian, a star for Creighton this last year with 5 goals and 14 assists. More on him in a moment. Charlie Adams wearing the captain armband with the returner Bilal Kamal in his 2023 season debut. The local kid, Oliver Martin from Williston, Vermont at right winger. And Alfie Pope, the London international, gets the start at striker. But Matt, we really want to focus on Probo, the Italian, known as a 2-footed guy. He can play with both those feet. Really an exciting prospect.
Yeah, when I heard about that they had a 2-footer sitting midfielder, you had my interest, as I let you know. It's going to be very interesting to see kind of like how that looks, acting almost as a pivot if Clarity gets a little bit more license to get forward, and Probo really acts as that deep line playmaker. If he's got both feet, he's going to be able to pivot that ball very quickly. He doesn't have to take that extra touch to get it to his preferred foot.
That's the starting 11. Let's look at the possible substitutions that Vermont Green could go with today. Again, 11 possible substitutions on the board for Vermont Green. You've got some local products in this mix. Number 77, Tristan Stefani, just joined the club from the College of Holy Cross. And then some familiar names, the likes of Ochoa Gomez, Kruchenkov, Sam McCann, expecting to see his name today. Nacho Larache, Jake Ashford, also possibly available. Should be a fun one as we meet some new men in green. And, of course, another great turnout from this very faithful crowd in Burlington, Vermont. Today is Youth Day, so we've got some young soccer teams and some young footballers that are heartily cheering on Vermont Green FC. And, Matt, the first ever international friendly. Of course, there's a lot to learn today, but there's a big match looming this weekend with Seacoast United coming to town right before this one gets underway. How do you expect to see them handle that? You know there's a big match coming up on the weekend. Exactly what type of intensity might we see in this game?
I don't foresee a drop-off in intensity, honestly, even with a friendly, and I don't see it from either team. This is also, granted, you could chalk it up to maybe a training exercise, to say the least, but at the same time, this is a game for a lot of these players that haven't started regularly. They need to make a statement to Adam that if they want to start regularly, they have to perform.
Now's the time.
I don't see them pulling out of tackles. I don't see them kind of only going at 75% for it. Also, you need to be match sharp. We don't really know exactly, like, kind of the form that Seacoast is in yet. They've only played one match. They're playing one tonight.
Yep.
We'll get a better idea after tonight's results. But otherwise, that's kind of a rivalry between Vermont and New Hampshire right there. Those are the two big clubs now. We've made our statement from last season. We all know what Seacoast is. We understand that conveyor belt that the academy produces to that team. There's no way that everyone's just going to kind of take it really too easy tonight.
There's a look at the bench. Adam Pfeifer, of course, in his very familiar seat just off to the side. In his second season at the helm, Adam Pfeifer might get to see one of his own Norwich cadets play tonight with Amerlin Namaya available off the bench. Very excited to see him potentially mix in with this Vermont Green FC lineup. Of course, Vermont Green in their now very familiar and very popular home green wildflower kits. CS Mont Royal Outremont in their visiting whites. They're managed by Luke Brutus, the head coach. Again, this team plays in Quebec League 1, a pre-professional league at a similar level to USL 2, in which Vermont Green FC occupies. And the Green break the huddle, captained today by Charlie Adams. That's really cool. A local product in Adams who tried out a year ago to make this team and now a fixture in their lineup and wearing the captain armband with Jake Ashford coming off the bench today.
That's so cool. Honestly, that's a great story. I mean, that's kind of what you envision, or at least you kind of dream about as a kid growing up and playing, getting to this level, especially to play in your home state for this new club that was created for it. I mean, that would be my dream as a youth player.
I'm excited to see Adams and company get to work today. It appears that Outremont will start with the ball. That kid's got the best seat in the house right there, hanging on the rail, one of the ball boys. And, of course, there's our friend Tom Proctor, always bringing the juice and the energy to Virtue Fields. The Green Mountain Boys, well populated this evening. Amadou Bayo, the international from Guinea, to start the action for Outremont. Vermont Green coming off the 3-0 win here at home against Albany Rush over the weekend. The first of 3 straight home games tonight. An international friendly is underway. Outremont dropping into this 4-4-2 formation, Matt. I'm going to be curious to get your thoughts on how exactly Vermont Green and their 4-2-3-1 match up against it, as early ball back to the starting keeper, Gabard Feneyan, and early possession from Outremont.
Well, the first thing I'm going to focus on is, honestly, the quality of the two center mids in that 4-4-2. When you play a 4-4-2, those two center mids need to pretty much be able to do everything. They need to be able to provide, and they need to be able to tackle. They need to be able to cover. Their positioning is incredibly important because they are only 2 center mids versus potentially 3 against a 4-2-3-1. So we'll see kind of, what their first initial touch and just everything around it.
O'Neill does well to hold off the run of Xavier Ranger. O'Neill's school teammate Nathan Schnurr starting in net. That's taken away by Yannick Toker. And a tackle on the edge of the 18. Toker takes a shot but hooks it wide. Toker's one of those central midfielders along with Nabil Saada. And maybe some early moments there from Vermont Green as they turn it over trying to work out of the back.
It's going to be a different prospect with two. What I'm already noticing, too, is that these 2 center forwards, they're not small. These look like very, very fit physical players, and that is 2 players that now this back line is going to have to deal with, especially as well as going to be Probo and Claudy. It's not going to be all just possession and providing the ball to the forwards. They're going to have to do a lot of defensive work when you have 2 center forwards that your back line has to deal with.
That's Zach Barrett. He flings it for Mark O'Neill. Of course, O'Neill showed his offensive prowess out of the back a year ago. He and Jake Ashford, the Creighton Blue Jay teammates, were more often than not the pair along the back line. There's Probo. That spinning ball intercepted by Ulrich Bellinger. And all the way back they go to Fanea.
And there you can see the 4-2-3-1 cuts off a lot of the passing lanes. When the whole team stays as a unit and moves up into that kind of quarter of the field, makes it very difficult to play it out of the back. So you have to play it basically as almost like an umbrella, like a pivot out of the back. You can't play it through the middle.
Adams surrenders the throw in. Emile Legault, the right back, takes the throw, flicked on by Oliveri. And O'Neal comes over to usher out of bounds.
O'Neal playing it safe with a header out of touch.
Not necessarily a slow start, but definitely a bit of a cautious start maybe. Both sides kind of feeling each other out. The right back Legault cutting inside, lays it back. Schnurr comes out and claims it. Bolia came over to cover. First touch of the game for Schnurr.
Both teams finding it difficult actually to play it out of the through the center to break that first line and get it to their center mids. Both of them are basically having to play it out wide and try to work the channels.
Oliver Martin, the youngster who's a Michigan Wolverine from Williston. And Cloherty back for O'Neal. Two returners from last year's squad. Find another in Messer. Charlie Adams. His pass cut off, but
Good
the ball
coverage.
too far forward for Oliveri.
But Adams gets it back.
Kind of funny. It's almost dead quiet in the stands. There's almost like a nervousness. Is it because it's our first international friendly that we've had?
Martin getting it forward for the first time for the Green. Well, after the raucous home opener where it felt like Vermont Green could have scored 6 or 7 times, Matt, going about 4 minutes without a chance. These fans, not necessarily bored, but
They expect.
a lot of chances.
Yeah.
Bolia hustles and gets on the end of it, but it's cut off before it could reach Kamal. Kevin Lenars on that left-hand side for Outremont.
The Green probe down the right, but eventually goes out for a throw-in.
So some progress down the right side between Martin and Bolia. And now they'll try to pen in the visitors from Montreal. Not going to see Daniel Pacella tonight. Of course, a Montreal native himself. I'm sure he would have liked to play against his hometown team. But I think they might be saving the star midfielder Pacella for a big stint on Saturday against Seacoast United. There's Zach Barrett, Pacella's teammate at Vermont, cutting inside. Messer.
Messer picks up on the left.
Messer working with Adams.
Off to the moment.
Two very familiar with each other's game. That's a well-done play by Cloherty.
Very, very well done by Cloherty.
Took it right away from Amadou Bayo.
Great use of his body just to shield it and recover the ball.
On the right-hand side.
Martin looking for a Kamal run. He wasn't making that charge. And Fineon ranging up the left-hand side. Well, Oliver Martin looks lively. Go ahead.
Well, no, one thing that I kind of actually just thought of and would be interesting to get maybe Adam's thoughts or insight into is how much does he kind of train? When you do basically, you'll generally have a training session, you'll work on different aspects, different sections of the field, but then you'll generally have like maybe a 20, 30-minute session, like 11v11, or, it could be 8v8 or something like that. If he plays this lineup with these set of players versus what we saw in the previous match for it. And if he doesn't, that could explain a little bit, why there is a little lack of gel. Maybe you're not seeing as much cohesion. Just, a little bit of, call it growing pains or whatever you want just in the beginning of the match.
And we're also, to be frank, not totally sure what to expect from CS Mont Royal Outremont tonight.
Exactly.
They play at a similar level to Vermont Green, and a team that have been very competitive at their level over the last 10-plus years, winning the regular season title 4 times. So this is a high-quality side they're going against, but two sides that I think are pretty unfamiliar with each other.
I expect a pretty high degree of quality, though, players out of Montreal area. It's a definite farm for a lot of really, really good, well-trained players.
Lots of French and French-Canadian names throughout this lineup. Adams dropping deep.
In around the back as as cool as you like, and then launch.
O'Neal launches for Bolia. He could not save it, tiptoeing out of bounds.
O'Neal are brutal.
Still awaiting this game's first big chance. Bolia wins it back for Cloherty. And again, patience from Vermont Green once they gain possession.
It could just be one of those things that somebody needs to put in a crunching tackle, and it sets it off, just that first domino, and then all of a sudden the match comes alive.
Feels like we're awaiting for a bit of a spark almost.
Exactly. I think both teams don't know how hard they want to go in yet, and, it's only the first barely 10 minutes.
Messer whips it across.
There we go.
Yeah. Nathan Messer heard us. He didn't wait long to jump on a loose ball and absolutely whip in a lefty cross.
Well, that's going to be a big factor too, is to see if Adams is going to basically have his heels on that sideline, and then he starts to cut in. What we were seeing of Diarby in last match is Messer needs to see that in order for him to understand to take the lane. Otherwise, he's going to underlap. He's going to come on the inside, which is a totally different set, to create the attacking chance.
Barrett ranges forward and shoves it wide for Bolia. All the way back for Cloherty. Here's Probo. Kamal, his first touch in a dangerous spot. The pass behind Pope. And bombed away by Saada. One out of the air by O'Neal, but it trickles out for a Outremont throw.
I do like the immediate recovery. So we're probing right now. Vermont is probing right now. They're trying to find that just the right way to the pass, create those passing sequences, create the chances for it. But the second they lose it, much as we saw last week or last match, they're immediately trying to win it back. They're sucking the life out of the play when Montreal gets onto the ball. All right, let's see what kind of feet this goalkeeper's got.
The veteran, Gabard Feneon, actually played for the Haitian national team.
Get out of here, really?
All the way back in the early 2000s.
No way.
Feneon is a 42-year-old starting netminder who played for the Haiti national team from 2003 to 2008.
This guy's an OG.
He is a veteran at the back.
Yeah. I hung my boots up already, and I'm 35.
All as you like.
I think they've got a contract spot for you if you want one.
Yeah, I'm going to need a 6-month boot camp.
At least, if you're going to get me on the roster.
And a nutritionist.
That might be the biggest kid.
Yeah. Somebody control my diet.
I mean, they keep putting Ben & Jerry's right behind our broadcast.
I know, you got Burlington Beer Company, you got Church Street cheesesteaks.
Not exactly helping out our diet. All quite appetizing, though. There's a look at Feneon. The 6'2", 42-year-old. Outremont have played 4 league games so far this year. 3 wins, 1 loss. Currently sitting in a tie for second in their division. Adams looking to pounce. And still Adams. He hustles after it. Adams. Nobody on the end of the cross.
Couldn't get quite someone on the end of it. That one could have been dangerous.
Charlie Adams poaching.
I do think we're going to see Adams try to drive in more when he gets the ball being right-footed. He's going to want to drive in and either find the pass, that little, kind of 10-foot, 15-foot pass for it, or take his shot and then see Messer come and overlap. Once they can kind of get into a rhythm a little bit further into the first half, I think we're going to start to see that a lot more often.
Well, we saw that with Messer. He's such an observant player on the outside.
He wants to get forward. Like, he desperately wants to get forward.
He and Diarby found a great mixture throughout the game against Albany Rush. I'm curious to see how, like you've talked about at length already, how Adams and Messer kind of play that dance together.
Well, it was such a feature of last season that we always saw Messer for him.
Yep.
We always saw Messer getting in on assists or creating all of these.
Led the team with 7 assists.
Exactly.
O'Neal, he likes to get forward himself.
Oh, might be a little much for him, but
Intended for Messer. Messer wants the throw in for Green.
it's fast, but not that fast.
Not quite that fast. He also, I think, hesitated just a touch before O'Neal played that ball.
Well done by O'Neal.
Big header from O'Neal there. Stood strong.
And the captain, Maxime Oliveri, down the line, intended for Ranger. Sada just couldn't keep it inside the touchline.
Good defending, though, to draw the foul out, get his body in front. So far, the back line has been doing a really good job of that. They understand if they're in those 1v1 situations, they're doing the technical aspect of it is get your body in front, either get them to commit the foul or find, the safe back pass back to your goalkeeper or, supporting defender.
It's an inexperienced back line in the sense that Carter Bolia played 7 matches last year for Vermont Green. O'Neal and Messer, of course, returners, and Zach Barrett new to this team. But all these guys started loads of games for their school teams throughout the fall. So it's a veteran group in that sense.
Yeah, I don't expect any of them to be a massive drop-off in quality or form for it. I think it's just at this level, like the measurement is so fine to who actually is going to get the start, who's going to be in the starting 11 when Adam's looking at it. And that's why the onus is on them to take this friendly and make a statement.
Of course, we are expecting mass substitutions throughout the course of this game on a hot and sunny day in Burlington. Nobody's going to have the full 90 minutes to prove themselves, but certainly they'll have enough time to make an impact while out there. Pope worked hard, wins it for Probo, Cloherty, and Messer.
I want to see Pope get on the ball just a little bit more. If he's not getting the ball, I want to see him actually come and get it.
Pope was after that ball. Adams, man, he's quick. They won the ball. That's Bellinger who took it away from Adams. Cries for a penalty.
Great touch.
Sada just couldn't reel in the ball from Oliveri.
Bolia sends it on the right wing.
There's a bit of danger in the counterattack, isn't there, from Outremont? They found some nice spots.
Just a hint of it. So far, those two center forwards haven't had a lot of the ball. Vermont has had most of the ball, which is good to see. But those two, they look very rapid when they do get their chances for it. It's going to be something to keep an eye on.
It's Pope. Alfie Pope denied. Rebound for Oliver Martin. Vermont Green lead with the local kid. Martin's first in the green.
Good follow-up, too. Way to be committed to it. He could have maybe stopped his run after Pope had his initial shot for it, but he sniffed out that it might have a deflection. Way to be there for it.
Bilal Kamal finding Pope. What a first stop that is. But Martin wouldn't be denied.
Well, initially, wasn't it started almost from 4 players back, was Adams driving in to find Kamal for it, and that's kind of what I'm looking for, is him having his back basically to the sideline, driving in, finding Kamal. Kamal is supposed to be that very intricate player just around the 18.
And the crowd went nuts. Oliver Martin, the kid from Williston, Vermont, on the board. And not necessarily against the run of play, but on their really first big scoring chance, Vermont capitalizes.
Good on Pope, though, too. I was just asking. I was like, I want to see him a little bit more on the ball, and right away.
And it's great to have Bilal Kamal back, isn't it?
It really is.
He's going to be competing for minutes this year. The likes of Zach Zangi have made a big impression in that number 10 spot. But Kamal, who was so dangerous all of last season, just a comfort to watch him back in the number 10 jersey in the middle of the field.
It's going to be a headache for Adam to decide, basically who do I start between Kamal and Zengi. Those two players we saw last match, and we know all about Kamal. Kamal is an absolute quality player, just loads and loads of quality. It's going to be difficult to decide match to match, but we will see.
Kamal making the most of his first start of the year to this point. Just arrived in town. He wasn't here in the first couple of games, as well as Mark O'Neill. Reinforcements are still coming. That's the crazy part.
That displays it right across the back of the field. It's now getting probed to the right-hand side.
Clarity looking over the top for Kamal, who held his run. Nodded sideways by Campagna.
Header from Memorial. Puts it out for a free throw-in for Vermont Green.
Kamal loses out.
Great defending. Very well done from Barrett.
Zach Barrett, the Vermont Catamount, in his first start of the summer.
So he recovered.
He did.
Okay, good.
He had
obviously
a bit of a nick for Barrett. Held him out some this spring. Messer's early ball cut out. It is good to see Barrett back playing. One of a few Vermont Catamounts on the Vermont Green squad this summer. Another dangerous play that Kamal was almost able to pounce on. And now Kevin Lenore, listed as the left-handed midfielder, operating on the right side. Ranger, but it's O'Neill.
Fantastic tackle. Timed just right.
Lovely tackle.
Mark O'Neill is quite the player. There are going to be position battles all over the field that give this coaching staff headaches. Because after the performance we've seen in the first two games, it feels hard to take Ashford or Ochoa Gomez out of the lineup at center back. But you've got the class of O'Neill and Barrett and even more players that are potential starting center backs on the roster. Not enough minutes to go around at times.
Well, I mean, remember, too, as this, we get further into the summer, the season progresses, some players, they pick up injuries. Some of them have to go back to their college programs somewhere late into the season for it. You need to have absolutely everyone ready to start. They have to be match fit just in case, that opportunity arises.
Anis Kaliz did well to take it away from Bolia after a promising build-up. Comes up cold for Vermont Green.
Turf bounce.
And Oliveri scooped it up. Bayo. And there's Barrett. That's O'Neill in the perfect spot again for the strong challenge. Is it just me, or do O'Neill and Barrett look a lot alike from up here?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I get it mixed up a little bit. Similar haircuts.
Similar haircuts, similar 6'2" builds. Ranger does well. Oliveri down the line, and Schnurr. That's well read.
Very well read. Barrett and O'Neill doing a very good job so far, frustrating the two center forwards for Montreal as well. They had a couple little sniffs for it, but otherwise, immediately killing the attack for it. Very well positioned, just in case it's a long ball. They're not too far back. They're not too close in case they get beat on the 50-50. It's just right so far.
O'Neill slides it for Barrett. Nobody making the run that Barrett wanted on the long ball. Galiz backtracks.
Well, there's Pachella in the stands.
Sure enough. As well as Gavork Diarbian.
Montreal firing a Messer on the left-hand side. It is not advisable,
Man,
let me tell you.
O'Neill does not lose many of those 50-50 battles. He gets it under control for the green and uses Messer. This game's certainly not played at quite the same tempo that it was against Albany Rush.
No, it's got a little bit less of a bite, but I think Adam will be really happy with that, though, just because you don't want to be a little bit too risky from a physical standpoint for a friendly.
Bolia wriggles his way by a defender right into the chests of Fineon.
But I think he'll really enjoy, though, the level of possession and control that Vermont have had over this match so far. It's pretty much been all Vermont.
Kamal, that was a cheeky attempt, looking on the run for Probo. Cloherty,
well done.
Thunderous tackle.
Ah.
I didn't realize Jack Cloherty was that strong.
I mean, look at him. He's a brick house.
Xavier Ranger, and again there's O'Neal. But his pass off the mark, looking for Probo. Oliveri, Saada, and it's Carter Bolia who stands his ground.
Absolutely tight in the back.
Another chance to talk about Giorgio Probo as he finds Bilal Kamal. Probo this fall at Creighton scored 5 goals and got 14 assists for the Blue Jays.
14 assists. That is absolutely nothing to stick your nose up at.
He was a big part of why Duncan McGuire, one of the nation's leading scorers, was so successful. Part of just a monstrous Creighton attack that also included Owen O'Malley, top 10 overall pick in the MLS Super Draft. And, of course, Vermont Green FC alum.
It reminds me, I need to check in on Owen O'Malley.
Now the St. Louis City SC product.
Fun city to go play ball in.
It's a passionate one as well. I've been impressed with the few games I've been able to check them out. They are, A, a really good team in their first year.
Yep.
And B, they are packing the stands every single night. Going to be fun to watch O'Malley work his way into that lineup going forward as he continues to develop. And, of course, Aitor Bjorgolfsson seeing time with Seattle Sounders, one of the top teams in the league. Charlie Adams.
Oh, almost at it.
Finally got himself into trouble. He tried the Maradona there, didn't he?
Yeah, he was just about to pull it off. Something I really enjoy about these players, too, and that has to come top down from the coaching staff, is that emphasis on also expressing yourself a little bit. Like, listen, we're all here for also entertainment. Like, we want to win. We have our systems. We have our, our defensive structure, and we want to play in a clean manner, all these things. But we're here to be entertained and express yourself, especially in these appropriate areas of the field.
I think Owen O'Malley was one of the guys who set that tone last year. And your first year as a team, I don't think anybody had more flair than Owen O'Malley when he was out there. He was looking to entertain.
Well, him and Kamal, Nwegbo.
Tiba Nwegbo.
Yep.
The stars of old. Not that they are old by any means, but the first into the Vermont Green FC lore. New faces looking to establish themselves in year 2. So far, Oliver Martin, the winger from Williston, Vermont, and the Michigan Wolverine, the man who separated Vermont Green FC and CS Mont Royal Outremont, the Griffins in town. Kevin Lenores. Campagna. Ranger shields it from Barrett. Dropped for Saada. Galice tried to tiptoe the sideline. And here's Nathan Schnurr, another of the Creighton Blue Jays that have made the trip to Burlington. Schnurr, though, was not a big part of this last year Blue Jay team. He was the backup netminder. Only played in 3 games, making 1 save on the season. So far, he's split time in net with Nick Christofferson. That's well done by Barrett. Bolia on the end of it. And there's Alfie Pope. Alfie Pope, the flag is up.
Oh, what a shame.
Alfie Pope.
Fantastic.
Stunned. What a finish from Pope, but it will not count. He can't believe it still.
It'll add to the confidence, though. That was a fantastic finish. Let's take another look at this.
Bolia, tough to tell from that angle now.
Yeah, without being able to see necessarily where Pope is on that back line, but take nothing away from the finish.
Yeah, another good look there. I thought Pope might have been a half step off, but it was awfully tight. Sometimes you're okay with your striker walking that line, though, right? They need to take those chances.
I mean, strikers 50% of the time are probably going to be offsides because they're making those runs. It's just going to happen. They need, 5, 10 chances. The best don't need that many chances for it, but you have to he hasn't had a lot of the ball in the match. Like, I understand that he had the technical assist by getting the strike and turn into a deflection that Martin put in for it, but otherwise it's been difficult to find his feet in the match, so he's got to try to create something for himself.
Probo starting to get more involved. Chested down by Martin. He looks the part, doesn't he? But that was a poor touch. Martin's been energetic, but that one got away.
Onto the striker's feet, and it goes out for a goal kick.
Ollie Martin, who was the team's first ever recruit a year ago. There's another look at the Pope finish. That ball was behind him. He kind of knew it right away.
Acrobatic,
athletic. Legault brings it down. And then he brings down Probo. The referee ruling advantage for Vermont Green.
Good officiating. Let it play out.
Into space for Galice. Sahada picks up a step. Barrett reads it well. Strong challenge to take it away from Kamal, but back to the feet of Probo and Martin.
A lot of back and forth happening in the middle of the field here before Vermont Green get it, and again, pass around the back to slow the game down a little bit. Lovely inside ball by
Flaherty. You could see the idea, looking for Martin. But now some numbers for Outremont. Oh, Neal. He saw that one coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well read, but just poor from the center forward. Just if you're going to go for that kind of, that driven ball that's supposed to go over the top, you need a lot more loft from that, and they haven't had a lot of chances. It's going to need to be a lot higher quality to get over that back line.
Messer maneuvering. Probo, there's Pope again. That time off target, but again, the flag went up on Alfie Pope.
That did not feel offsides to me.
I didn't think so either. The first one, I was ready to look for the flag. That one, I didn't expect to see it. Here's another look.
Yeah, again, can't see it from, the side view to see where he's positioned.
That one will frustrate Pope a little bit, I'm sure, even though he was offsides and it wouldn't have counted. That's when a striker probably feels they've got a direct on target. Foul going against Messer.
Challenged a little bit too heavy, says the ref, and here's a Montreal free kick in their territory, and they pass it out around the back of the left. Searching up the left-hand side, but a big header from Vermont Green sticks it out for a throw-in over on the far side.
Still awaiting our first substitution.
I don't know if we're going to see it, honestly. It hasn't been an intense match. We're already 31 minutes in. I don't
Might wait till halftime.
Yeah,
we'll
I
see.
think halftime. Temperature has actually dropped now, kind of pretty nice now. It was pretty hot. It was like almost 5 degrees hotter just before, but
much more comfortable than it was an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
Schnurr uses Messer as his outlet. Messer unable to clear the ball away. It's out for a Mont Royal throw.
It's good pressure from Montreal, though. Cut out all the passing lanes. Make them get the ball away.
Messer eventually puts his boot through it. Pope unable to really lasso it in.
He gets muscled off and is back into the middle of the field in the possession of Montreal.
That's going to be part and parcel of the role, though, as playing as a number 9. You know, when not all these matches are Vermont going to have this level of possession and be able to create these passing sequences around, you know, the attacking third forward. Sometimes they're going to need to literally actually get it out of the back with these 40, 50-meter pinged balls for it. And as a number 9, playing with your back to the defense, whoever's marking you, you need to be able to take it out of the air, settle it, and bring up the team with you.
Martin's ball well read by Fenelon out of the back. And that was one of the things we saw Bjorgolfsson be so good at last year, such a physical presence holding up the play.
Absolutely. He was phenomenal at it. As I was saying, he ticked all the boxes. You know, he had a fantastic strike. He was incredibly athletic, but he had this tenacious physicality that, you know, all great number 9s have, especially when if you tried to mark him, it was impossible to kind of just, you know, you don't have to necessarily just be like this 230-pound muscular person. It's just being able to use your body really, really well, and he was very good at it.
Barrett does well to keep it in for Bolia. Now, Outremont extending their pressure. Cloherty. That time Pope unable to keep Campagna on his back. That's the type of play you're talking about. Those are the ones he needs to be able to hold off the defender.
Yeah, that's the one where his left arm needs to get across the body of the defender and get, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. He just needs to be able to get one foot in there to get that touch or maybe just a one-touch layoff for it. It does not have to be anything incredibly special.
Rare miscue from Kamal. Leads to space for Sada. Blocked by O'Neal.
Blocked by O'Neal there.
The rare Bilal Kamal mistake leads to maybe the best chance for Outremont, and Martin is fouled. The field's starting to tilt a bit more to our right-handed side after Vermont Green have had the majority of possession throughout this half. Outremont getting forward and just putting some pressure on the Green defense. Messer and Adams get back on the ball. O'Neal. He's comfortable taking people on, as is Messer. Probo. It falls to Cloherty, and Bolia will settle it. An early ball for Bolia. I think Pope believed he was offsides, and it's nodded back to from Bellinger to Fenella. Inside the final 10 minutes of the first half, plus likely a few extra seconds for extra time. Toker on the turn. Sada back for Galiz. Bayo. That's well worked to Oliveri. Lenore into space. And Bayo just couldn't quite stab it to the ground. Kamal draws the foul.
Big touch from Adams there. I think there's just a little bit of complacency that's sort of creeping into the game, just a little bit. You know, You're seeing a little bit of that kind of body language where it's not a league match technically, which that 5-10%, whatever you want to call it, kind of that is dialed back a bit.
That's well done by Kamal to keep possession. And now the crowd urging Nathan Messer on. He wants his left foot, and everyone knows it. Messer still gets the left-footed cross away. Just too much sauce on it. Swept clear in the end by Oliveri. How does Messer keep getting to his left foot? Everyone knows he's going to it.
Well, he drives, and then he stops, and he basically makes the defender to commit and square up to him, and then he's got this just really quick, like 2-3 steps right away just to give him the chance. Doesn't need to be huge. He just gets that extra 6 inches to a foot, just enough to get the cross.
It's just every game I feel like I say, all right, he's going left. Everyone knows it. And then he does that exact little hesitation that you're talking about that just puts defenders on their heels.
Sergeant Robin.
Yeah.
You knew where he was going.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
That's a great comp. I love that.
Game has 1, 2, 3 defenders before finally getting dispossessed.
Choppy action over the last handful of minutes. Cloherty sets up Messer.
The space on the left-hand side for Messer.
Adams and Messer. Now there's room.
There's the 1-2.
Messer, room to pick someone out. Crosses. Bobbled a bit by Fenelon, but nobody there to pounce. Just a bit off target on that cross.
Hitting it into the ground. That move was looking gorgeous.
I'll be very curious, Matt, to see how much Nathan Messer plays tonight and if he's again in the lineup Saturday against Seacoast. If he were to start Saturday, it would be his third start in 8 days. Now, we know Messer's in great shape. That's not in question. Still, that's a lot of soccer. He played 90 minutes against Albany on Friday.
How old is he?
Not old.
21.
Yeah, 22 maybe.
22. Yeah, he's going to play. I can almost guarantee he's going to play. I bet you he gets subbed probably at halftime just with that in mind, but
Messer with a lovely ball down the line to Adams, who can't.
He's a fixture.
He's too integral to that left side, to those chances that are created for it, and he's just one of those players that's going to start a lot of matches.
Adams looking for Messer. Well, there are a few guys today that we've already talked about. They're not available off the bench, the likes of Pacella, Musa, and D.A., the two holding midfielders from the Albany Rush start, then Diarbian, Tellez, Prego, some of those outside players that did a lot of running against Albany. Not available tonight, even off the bench. They're in the stands watching, which is why I was a touch surprised to see Messer in the starting lineup. They've got a like-for-like change if they want in Diego Ochoa Gomez, who can play either on the outside or inside of the back line.
I think some players just have like this engine, just like a Tacoma V6, like just
going all day.
Yeah, going all day. And I think Messer is just one of those players that you could measure all of his fitness metrics and read it, and he would just be off the charts comparably to everyone else.
Probo the takeaway. Martin, first ball for Pope. Probo just couldn't quite stretch out and beat Nabil Saada. It is a green throw-in in the attacking third. Inside the final 5 minutes of the opening half. Still just the Oliver Martin finish. In a first half that has otherwise lacked a spark. Vermont Green has been in control for the majority of the possession. Now here's Pope holding up play. But again, can't really control the ball. Free kick in the attacking third coming.
We know he can strike. We've seen so far, that he has a decent presence, especially in the box, and that just might honestly be the type of striker that he is. They call it a fox in the box, or whatever you want to call it for it. But playing as a number 9 with your back to a defender and that physical presence for it, it just might be something that needs improvement. And he's a young player, so there's plenty of room for it. It just right now, I think that's maybe just like that weakness. That's all.
Here comes a potential chance for Pope. Barrett and O'Neill also stepping forward. It looks like Probo the one to take it with Martin flanking him on his right. It's Probo. Towards Barrett. It's O'Neill!
Oh.
That is a grade A chance for Mark O'Neill.
Just barely. He's having a good game. I would say of all the players, I think he's probably been the standout player, O'Neal.
Probo knew exactly where he wanted to put that cross, and Barrett almost set a bit of a pick on Emile Legault, marking that back post. He wanted a foul on Barrett. That looked like something off the training ground. Miscommunication there between Pope and Kamal. It ends up with Pope. Kamal stretches. The through ball was almost on for Adams. Bolia brings it back down. Now Kamal. Kamal rings the pipe. Still loose. Saved again. It was Bolia with the rebounds chance after a rocket from Kamal struck piping.
So many things just happened all at once, trying to figure out what happened. Kamal with the absolute phenomenal strike, unlucky to not get the underside of the bar. But then the goalkeeper keeps his eye on it, and I feel like it was just in front of him, and he did not go for it, and it almost turned into a goal from the second chance. And then after that, O'Neal reads the ball perfectly, pulls it out of the air, restarts the attack for it. Well done.
That was definitely the most exciting sequence of this opening 45 minutes.
All right, well, there's a spark at 43 minutes in.
And here goes Bayo. Some numbers forward for Outremont. Amadou Bayo runs into the wall of Zach Barrett. Barrett kind of a lumbering center back. The physical presence you want back there. Here's another look at the Kamal strike. Wow.
So, this shows it all the way through.
That's right. Bolia's chance.
Yeah, I guess the biggest surprise is that the goalkeeper didn't come out with all those years of experience. Just come out and use his. He almost always has the benefit of the doubt if there's a foul coming, come out and punch the ball, but he didn't, and it almost turned into goal number 2. But yes, to go back to Barrett and O'Neal, it's kind of interesting to see like what we saw out of Ashford and Ochoa versus O'Neal seems to be that very quick, physical, gets almost like reads the ball and then gets in front of the forward, intercepts it, versus Barrett almost like he understands that maybe he doesn't have that quick enough pace for it, so he uses his positioning and his body kind of like how Ashford does.
Messer. He's got Adams in the middle. Messer just over the top of the reach of Fenelon. Another look at the Kamal. I mean, that is just touched. Bilal Kamal did not score last year for Vermont Green. For me, that's the unluckiest maybe nugget of all season that Kamal somehow was unable to find the back of the net.
He watched Zengi's goal and wanted his own.
Offsides flag was up. Tom Proctor's confused. That's okay.
Not halftime, Tom.
Not quite halftime. There were still seconds ticking away. They've got the window closed over there for the air conditioning. They can't see everything.
They get air conditioning over there?
They've got AC. Now it is halftime, and I'm going to enjoy the air conditioning.
I want to raise.
Oliver Martin's goal, the difference in the opening 45 minutes. 45 to play in this international friendly. We'll have a quick halftime update in just a few moments. You're watching Vermont Green FC football.
Campaign inspired by my daughter Sophia's exceptional team of early childhood educators at Pine Forest Children's Center right here in Burlington. I'm also a senior leader at Let's Grow Kids, which is a statewide organization leading the campaign to solve Vermont's child care crisis. Thank you very much. At Let's Grow Kids, I am to be able to partner with the awesome leaders here at Vermont Green who are energized to use their social justice platform to champion equitable access to affordable, quality childcare for those who need it. Woo! If you share Vermont Green's enthusiasm for solving the childcare crisis, please visit letsgrowkids.org to contact Governor Scott and encourage him to support the historic child care bill that landed on his desk earlier today, because when we invest in children from the start, we change our futures forever. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you, Vermont Green, for your awesome leadership on childcare. Go team. Have a great night.
Give it up, Volusia, and let's grow kids!
Vermont Green carrying a 1-goal lead into halftime in their international friendly with CS Mont-Royal Outremont. Brian McLaughlin and Matt Montel with you at halftime. And Matt, a first-half lead for Vermont Green. Overall, we're looking at this side that have a lot of new faces today. What were things that stood out to you, your kind of top first-half takeaways?
I think a continued presence of possession. Just that the actual possession, whatever metrics, maybe I would say like 60-40, that Vermont had the edge. Again, they controlled most of the match. That came a lot from the defenders joining into the attack. You know, the second they lose the ball, they would take the air out of the play. That Montreal couldn't put together 3-4 passes, and that is a lot of credit to players like O'Neill and Messer and Barrett and Ballou, all of them. They all contributed to that. Also, just very good passing sequences that we were seeing out of like Adams and Messer. Kamal being incredibly involved in that first half. Really the playmaker, making his statement. He wants to start. He definitely saw the performance out of Zengi from last match, so he's making his statement to Adam.
Let's take a look back at some of the replays from the first half, including the first goal of the season for Oliver Martin. And here it all starts with Bilal Kamal.
And you see Kamal, it's a great ball just behind that defender. It's a good touch by Pope. And I want to give credit to Martin because, you know, that looks like almost such a clear-cut chance for Pope that it's almost like if you were kind of running up and you see it, it's a goal, you know. But no, he commits to it, and that's what you want to see out of your forwards.
Again, there's Kamal, who just is able to get the ball away. Let's talk about Alfie Pope because he's denied right there. Martin eventually gets the goal. Pope then had another chance in the first half that was brought back due to an offsides despite him finishing it, as we're going to get a look at that finish. Overall, Pope, what stood out in his first start to you?
I think on positive sides of what I'm noticing out of Pope is that he is a technical player, and he's definitely got technique for it. I mean, we saw the almost an overhead kick, that bicycle kick from it. That you can't just snuff that. That is actually something pretty impressive to do. He's got a good kind of first touch when he isn't under pressure for it. Now, from the side that I want, he needs improvement on, and like I said, he's a young player, and there's plenty of room to improve. Is if he's going to play as that sole number 9, he's going to have to increase his physical capabilities. And there was a couple moments there where we watched O'Neill or Barrett or anyone from the back line play that, threaded ball through the midfield, through Montreal's midfield. And that's where, the number 9 needs to get their body in front, put an arm across. And we saw it a couple times where he just kind of got beaten. All he needs to do is get that one touch to lay it off for it. If he does start the second half, that's what I kind of want to see him get a couple more of those chances and improve upon it.
Finally, rotation pieces. We've talked a lot about just how this team is going to be trying new looks, new players tonight. Who stood out from some of those new faces this year?
I think immediately O'Neill has probably been, so far, man of the first half,
sure,
as we would say.
Yep.
I think O'Neill won all of his tackles, all of his aerial duels. Any 50-50s, he had fully covered for it. Now, that's a lot of credit also to having a really good partner. You cannot do that all alone. Having somebody like Barrett, where we were discussing, that center-back partnership is almost just as important as your midfield partnership between, Brobo and Clardy, who have also had very good matches. I don't want to, disregard their performances. I don't think anybody's had a bad performance by any stretch. But I would like to highlight O'Neill as probably being the standout player. But also Kamal, again, has been really kind of just that pivot point all around, that everything seems to kind of be going through Kamal, and that's exactly what that position requires.
Those are the halftime headlines. Vermont Green FC in their first ever international friendly in front. We've got 45 minutes to play from Virtue Field. Back with the second half after this. Vermont Green in front 1-0 as we get you set for the second half. Changes all over the pitch for Vermont Green. Pope still up top as striker. Changes, though, behind him. Dylan Lane and Sam McCann have both entered in the attacking midfield. Still Bolia, O'Neill, and Barrett on the central and right side of defense. It appears that I believe Amerlin Namaya is in the game in the midfield, the Norwich cadet. And I believe Jordan St. Louis is on the left-hand side of the attacking midfield line as well. Jack Cloherty remains in the game, and there's an early ball for Sam McCann that is scooped up by Fenelon, the starting keeper for CS Mont Royal Outremont. And there's a takeaway for the Middlebury Panther. Jordan St. Louis right to the end line. His cross a touch behind Pope. And Vermont Green will have their first corner of the night. So St. Louis operating on that left-hand side where Adams picked up the first half.
Do you know who do we rotate in for Messer?
Working on that one momentarily.
Yeah, I missed it myself. He's a local favorite, though. He had played for Jubistar for years. He's a Burlington local himself.
I believe that is Namaya actually on the left back spot for Messer.
Oh,
McCann almost snuck it through for Pope.
Great touch.
Bolia there to defend, and he knocks it away in the last moment from the Nor. So Namaya is on that left-handed side, the Norwich cadet and Burlington native. Matt Alfred is the one who's next to Cloherty in the central midfield. He played at Central Connecticut this last year, but is headed to Iowa Western Community College, junior college powerhouse, for his fall season.
Okay. Fun fact, I've played against Namaya a couple times, and by played against, I mean got dominated by a few times.
Namaya this year for Norwich, 14 assists and 4 goals. He gets the start at left back in the second half. A corner coming, though, for the visitors. CS Mont Royal Outremont in this international friendly. The visitors from Montreal. Left-footed in-swinger.
Well done. Well done by Schnur.
And it is still Schnur in net. I had to double-check there that it was not Tristan Stefani, the Holy Cross keeper, who's backing up Schnur tonight. That was Alfred who stepped in the way of the ball inside the 18, and he rises up for the header. Dylan Lane, the Furman player, ends up bringing it back for Schnur.
It's good to see Sam McCann back.
The fan favorite who was a big part of that playoff run last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he was one of those players that, that touching on when some players had to go back to their programs and, you needed to use your entire roster for it. He was absolutely pivotal to that run that we had. And, there was that big scare in that one match where he went down with an illness, with a condition, I think, for a moment. But he's recovered, and he's back playing ball.
He's operating as the right winger. There's Pope drawing the foul. Defender clatters through his back. Smile on the face of Alfie Pope. He put one in the back of the net in the first half, but it was brought back for an offside. Namaya scampering down the left-handed wing. Crosses towards McCann. At the last moment, Toker got in front and made a defensive clearance. Well, if Sam McCann scores, this place will erupt.
Absolutely. I mean, credit to Namaya, though. It didn't look like he was going to get that off, but it was actually a great cross.
He looks quick. Short ball to O'Neal. Mark O'Neal on the cutback. Bicycle try
Get
for
out of
Alfie
here.
Pope!
Get out of here.
Ridiculous! A bicycle finish!
Oh, add that to the highlight reel.
Woo! Alfie Pope, take a bow, as you would say.
That does not go on the stories. That goes on the grid. That goes on the grid. The second attempt at the bicycle kick, and the second attempt was an actual full-on bicycle kick.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's take another look at this. Good little feint and dummy. Low cross. Almost looks like it's dead. Oh, well done.
Into side netting. It is not often that you see a bicycle kick goal at any level.
Listen, we asked, we said, are they going to make a statement, to start these matches moving forward? And right now, Pope is making his claim.
I mean, it is hard to place a bicycle better than that. Alfie Pope in his first start at striker So now we've had real extended looks at Denis Kruchenkov, Nacho Larache, and Alfie Pope. 3 very different strikers as O'Neal almost gave it away. That was the scampering Matisse Leveille.
He never looked bothered as he did it, though.
No, he didn't. He doesn't look bothered often.
No.
But back to the striker conversation. You could say we talk about strikers a lot, but they're a pivotal part.
Great touch.
Great touch from McCann. And now Dylan Lane backtracks. When you're assessing those 3 guys, though, Nacho Larache, Denis Kruchenkov, and now tonight Alfie Pope, how do you think the coaching staff is going to differentiate between those 3?
Well, the second half when we saw Larache, I thought Larache had the edge.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, all right, this is
the game
probably
changed.
Good. Yeah, the game completely changed. I had a feeling that he was probably going to be the starter moving forward. At least he'd be first on the list out of the 3 of them. But after this performance, especially in the second half from Pope, I thought Pope had a pretty quiet first half. Granted, I understand that he got the shot off for the deflected assist.
That was like his first touch of the game.
Yeah, that was like 1 of 5 touches that he had. He wasn't very involved in it, and as a number 9 in a 4-2-3-1 system, you kind of need to be almost involved in everything, just as much as like Kamal is involved in everything. But outside of that, from a finishing standpoint, if your striker is only getting this many chances and he puts away, gets an assist and a goal from that, that's hard to look the other way on. It's gonna be a headache for Adam.
The confidence for Alfie Pope after that bicycle has to go through the roof. Here goes Jordan St. Louis all the way to the end line, and it's out for a goal kick.
Absolutely wildly different start to the second half versus the first half. I think the first half was, call it nerves. I don't know what you would call it. It was complacency. Maybe nobody understood. It was like, all right, how serious are we taking this friendly? This second half, all these players came out swinging.
Is that just all a mental change, or do you think that's some of the...
Yeah, it could be a halftime talk, basically Adam saying, it's like, listen, man, I'm bored. It's like, up the intensity.
I would imagine he didn't word it as, I'm bored, but the sentiment could definitely be that.
Alex Ferguson is famously quoted for saying that as a halftime. He's like, guys, I'm 71 years old. I'm bored. Entertain me.
Coach Pfeiffer's not 71.
No, but
I see your
seasoned.
point, though. St. Louis cutting inside. He's got options. The Middlebury Panther dancing to his right. Jordan St. Louis.
Well done.
Ends up keeping it in possession, and Bolia down to the turf, tripped himself up.
Bolia, who gets taken down, and the referee's awarded a free kick to Vermont Green.
There's some real pace out on the field right now. St. Louis and Amerlin Nemaya, both on that left-handed side, they have been quite quick since coming on.
Then you've got Sam out on the right.
Sam McCann can move.
Rapid.
Bolia, an outside of the foot find. Here's Sam McCann in space. McCann on the attack. He earns a corner. That's well done to close him down by LP Campagna.
Vermont consistently turning the screw, just consistently getting into that attacking third, creating these chances.
It will be Nemaya to take the corner. A left-footed in-swinger towards the near post where it's knotted down by Bellinger.
It's interesting. He takes the corner from basically the left-handed side on the left corner when we're in attack, and he also takes it on the right side, and that's 2 wildly different types of balls to attack if you're in the box for it.
Miscued there by Cloherty, who now is wearing the captain's armband. So the 2 Brown Bears sharing captain's duties today. McCann gets tackled down by Maxime Oliveri, the French international and captain for CS Montroy Outremont.
Getting a little talking to. That's the second in a row.
He was quick to apologize to Sam McCann. That's a poor ball from Barrett. Picked off. Sahada. Wide for Salim Eliassi. Eliassi off the Outremont bench. Well recovered by Nemaya, but he couldn't clear it wide. O'Neal down to the ground. Pushed wide. And Schnurr forced to move to his right and palms it away.
That looked like it was just going to be a little too much, and it was going to go into that top corner, but well done to Schnurr. Top hand save, good technique.
That's well done. Great acrobatics of Schnurr. In a pair of home games, that's really the first time that the Vermont Green FC keeper's been under pressure.
Cheesesteaks or rice balls, 10-minute warning.
St. Louis elects to just bomb it away.
Safety first.
Another look at this chance.
Yeah, the technique here. Top hand save, textbook.
Outremont working it up the right-hand side. Eliassi. Oliveri. Barrett. A lunging attempt. Knocks it down. Oliveri. And
Great
again,
tackle.
Barrett. That's his best sequence tonight.
I think that was Baloo, actually, and he needed to get that absolutely pinpoint right because that was very close to being a foul.
St. Louis on the left-hand side. And he plays it back to O'Neal.
Here's Bolia. O'Neal given room to advance. What
Great
a ball that
ball.
is. St. Louis.
St. Louis on the left-hand side. Wrong foot to defender. Sticks
Dylan
one
Lane.
in the middle.
Caught under his feet a touch. Alfred. Bolia.
Plays it back out to Beaulieu.
Carter Bolia, the Binghamton Bearcat. Dylan Lane. Back to Bolia. That's a heavy touch. Out for a corner.
Really, really good sequence of play there. Just one-touch passes just to get into the box.
Silky skills.
I'd like to highlight, though, O'Neal's pass. You know, that is what we kind of touch base on, that possession, but that possession is so the defense is so paramount to actually being successful in possession and being able to pass and break those lines for it.
And that's where O'Neal, it feels like, kind of similar to what Ochoa Gomez was doing at times. Another look at Lane finding Bolia. And that touch in the end, just a bit too much for Bolia. But that's what made O'Neal and Ashford such a great pairing last year, was that O'Neal could be a bit brave at times going forward. Still not cleared off the corner. McCann elevates. The Brazilian Renan Diaz attempted to counter for Outremont. Saada. Bolia with him stride for stride, this time on the left-handed flank.
In 2 minutes' time, a co-owner of Vermont Green, Sam, is going to be running up and down the touchline.
Oh, thunderous tackle. Again, Carter Bolia.
Yeah.
They are going to remember number 2 in green.
But that stuff needs to be completely empty, otherwise it will contaminate the rest of the recycling. So finish off that beer and get your best pitching arm. And definitely don't try and hit him. Try and hit the bin. Wink.
And that's out for a Vermont Green corner after Dylan Lane hustled forward. Lane, the starter in game 1 of the season against Boston Bolts, has come off the bench the last 2. And Nemaya slowly forward to the corner. This is what you're talking about, Matt. He'll still use that left foot, but it's an outswinger from this vantage point.
Yeah, exactly. And I personally like an outswinger because once you hit the ball, it's almost got like more velocity when you actually get contact with it.
That's deep over the head of Barrett.
Just over the head of everyone. And Montreal manages to get the break.
Saada. Not many numbers. Oliveri. The bicycles are good for the earth. What a strike from Alfie Pope. Again, tweet at us with hashtag #UpTheGreen. That was one from the Vermont Green FC team account. That's Alfie great. Pope joining in on the Bike to the Game campaign. You bike to the game, you can enter in a raffle. One of the many great things that this club does to help the environment.
Throw your empty and please be empty cans to the front.
Really great defending from Balia.
10 points if you get in the bag. There's one. Then empty cans. Empty cans. Okay, I've been told just to walk them down, all right? We might get sued.
Throwing beer cans.
I thought it was a cone, Sam. It's actually one of our interns. So keep that in mind.
Part of the recycling program that they're helping promote here at Virtue Fields. Asking fans to
unorthodox
recycle their cans mid-game, understandable, but Tom Proctor inviting everyone to throw their cans down the aisles. That's a different type of in-game entertainment that I haven't seen in a while.
That's a new one.
Recycle. Oh, it's a great catch.
Meanwhile, Outremont have themselves a free kick in the attacking half, and they're going to put numbers forward trying to get some pressure on Schnurr.
It's going to cross from this deep, huh?
I think just a floating attempt, I would guess.
All right. Play it right to my center mid there, but
Schnurr comes out at a strong two-handed punch. And it's actually a green throw-in. Took a deflection off one of the visitors. Alfie Pope's night has come to a close. He exits. DK is on in his place. Dennis Kruchenkov. Look at the smile on Alfie Pope after that ridiculous bicycle kick finish.
Seen some really great goals already this season, so early.
Something about Virtue Field. They only score bangers here.
That's what we do.
They're here to entertain, like you said.
Exactly.
Dylan Lane gets tripped up. This time, Saada is the guilty party.
You can see a little bit of frustration starting to kind of set in for Montreal. They're not able to get a lot going moving forward. And, you know, Vermont has been doing this really great job defensively of just, like, you know, basically winning the ball back so quickly. And there's just this level of aggression, this mismatch that I'm seeing between the two teams. And I'm impressed by Vermont that they're taking this absolutely seriously. They understand that this is how you stay, you know, absolutely ready for the actual league itself.
And Mark O'Neill is actually headed off. Maybe the standout player of the game, holding the back of his right leg. Hopefully that's just a cramp. The fans in the bleachers can attest. It has been a hot evening. The first sign of summer's arrival in Burlington. So for now, Clority dropping along the back line with Vermont Green preparing a substitution for O'Neill. Hopefully he's okay, and that is just a cramp. Thomas LaBeouf got the cross in. Well defended by Barrett, who's anchoring the back line without O'Neill. Dylan Lane scampering away. That was skillful.
A burst of pace.
That stayed in play.
Oh, wow.
Dylan Lane looped behind Coach Pfeifer on the sideline. Came back into action.
Hey, Coach.
Toss me a water bottle
Yeah.
while I'm over here. Orange slice, please.
Yes, sir.
Alfred turns it over in the midfield, playing alone in that central spot. Lavalier. Eliassi spins it wide.
He thought about it. You could see it.
And Barrett, Zach Barrett saw it as
Yeah.
well and made the play.
We have got 10 minutes to the last sale of alcohol. 10 minutes to the last sale of alcohol. So if you want a quick little drink, go to the bleachers now. Sorry, behind
I'm looking to see, DK, what we were asking of Pope, basically on the physicality side,
Yeah.
playing with his back, not just running the channels, but also receiving the ball from the defense with his back to the defenders. Like to see if he's kind of got that aspect to his game.
There's Kruchenkov asking for a handball, and he gets it. So this will be a free kick in a dangerous spot of the attacking third, earned by Dennis Kruchenkov. Again, the man who starred at Davidson this year as a freshman, scoring 9 times. The first words that people told me about Dennis Kruchenkov when I was asking around that, they said, this kid's a killer. That's just what they kept telling me. We'll see if that ends up becoming the case, but that was the scouting report, just a clinical finisher around the net.
Sometimes it doesn't necessarily fall for you.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning of the season. It's not that I saw him getting a plethora of chances also in the last match. So
he rung the post with some authority in his only chance.
Exactly.
lining up the free kick here, our Middlebury boy.
St. Louis.
Whips it in.
That was a dangerous ball. Well done by Bellinger to nod it away.
Bar for a corner. Dylan Lane takes the corner short.
Nemaya.
Oliver
Lane.
Dylan Lane, who
Ooh, a little nutmeg. Lane eventually forced backwards, and Bolia is his outlet.
Lane's done very well so far in this second half.
He's one of those kind of fringe rotation guys who wants to earn more minutes.
Well, he's consistently kept a hold of the ball. He'll drive to try to create the chance for it, but if he sees that, it falls apart for whatever reason, he's not wasteful with it.
This is Thomas LeBeuf. The captain, Oliveri. Saada's given room to turn. Little skill from Zach Barrett. He doesn't want to range too far. The lone center back on the field at the moment for Vermont Green, although Bolia is now playing alongside the center back O'Neill.
Can we see who's actually coming in to sub? I can't tell from all the way over
I
here.
believe that is Diego Ochoa Gomez, who
All
played
right.
center back with Ashford in game 1.
Yep.
Or at least home game 1. He actually started at left back before Messer had arrived with the team against the Boston Bolts.
Okay.
A versatile back.
Dynamic.
If Messer were to need a rest, at least to start the game against Seacoast. Again, not something you and I necessarily expect. I would say Ochoa Gomez would start out wide with Ndie moving to the back line along with Ashford would be my guess. But who knows?
It's a nice four to have to rotate through between O'Neill, Barrett, Ochoa, and Ashford. You could pick. You could match up any one of those four together, and you don't really see much of a drop-off.
And they're expecting Washington defender Nate Jones to come in and be a potential impact player in the middle as well. Here's space for St. Louis. Crosses. Kruchenkov stabbed at it along with Campagna. It's a goal kick off of DK.
I like how he held his run, though. You could see that he wasn't getting into a sprint. He was waiting. He was behind that defender, and he was waiting for him to pick his head up and then drive in as fast as he can, try to get that, flick on into goal.
How much of that can be practiced, that timing? How much of that's instinctual?
Oh, there's, any training session you ever watch, especially with forwards, they will work on that every single day, whether it's corner kicks or it's a driven ball from like a set piece, or even could just be simply just setting the ball somewhere, in the corner. And then those types of runs, they work on those different types of darting diagonal runs towards the goal.
So you're telling me Chelsea could have practiced that this year?
And they didn't.
Well, they didn't have anyone who made those runs in game. And that is today's Chelsea talk. Moving on.
Welcome to United Mason Mount.
Hello down to the field where our man Nick had us spotted.
I don't know if I want everyone to see my face. I don't want to be signing autographs for an hour after.
We can get you on the autograph session.
Sign one. My mom.
Actually, that might be my mom who wants your autograph. My mom, Lori,
all right,
a
she
big
can
fan.
have my autograph.
A big fan of Matt Montel, of course.
As long as she frames it.
That'll definitely happen. Hanging on the fridge in no time. St. Louis a bit over-anxious. Trips up Renan Diaz. So Ochoa Gomez in at left center back. Bolia back to his normal spot of the right-handed back line, and Barrett remains in the center back spot.
It's good discipline from the back line to draw the offsides from there, too. That's something incredibly difficult to lock in when you don't have a ton of time to work on it, is basically having a back line that all moves as a unit to get that offsides trap. And that definitely comes from players like Ashford just over-communicating. So, maybe it's Barrett, maybe it's Ochoa. Somebody makes the call for it.
A back line that have been excellent tonight, and as a group, excellent all year. Through 2 league games and tonight's friendly, Vermont Green have yet to allow a goal this season. Cloherty given room to run. Alfred. Bolia and McCann have room on this right-handed flank. McCann asks for it and receives. Bolia. Alfred. Nipped off of him by Oliveri. Back for Cloherty. Cloherty's done his job tonight. Hasn't exactly been shining, but it feels like he's been steady through the midfield.
The Boof has been a foul machine so far in this second half and is still not on a yellow. It's a little surprising.
Bolia. Kruchenkov got his head to it, but no power behind it.
I think St. Louis should have yelled for that one. Come in and absolutely blow everyone up. Listen, this is going to hurt, but this is going to be a goal.
Just overpower. St. Louis this fall for Middlebury scored 6 times and notched 3 assists. This is a foul that is actually going against the Outremont forward. Another look. That's Kruchenkov. You could see, St. Louis was open behind him and just kind of deferred.
Yeah, ball with that height, especially if you're standing still kind of as DK was, it's so tough to generate any power for it. And if you've got a player coming in from behind, they've got all the velocity to come in on that. Good patience.
They've been patient all night, right?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've noticed, that there's a lot of patience of playing out of the back.
Bolia and McCann combine.
And that right there, that 1-2, you're noticing, I've seen St. Louis doing it a lot with Adams or even Lane when they're over on that side. They play this ball into the channel, and they immediately move. They don't stand still. They move in so that one-touch pass into the midfield is on, and then right away you're into the attack.
Messer did that really well the other night with Diarbian. St. Louis.
Training ground stuff. Vermont Green, unfortunately, ends up coming to North, and Montreal actually have a chance.
And room on the counter for Lavier. He swarmed, but is able to flip it for Saada. Saada takes a strike, and it had Schnurr moving.
Yeah, not a bad attempt.
Likes to go out beyond the right stick.
Into the final 15 minutes of tonight's international friendly.
Second half has flown by comparatively.
About a foot wide. Not that far off target for Nabil Saada.
You need to wrap around it just a little more.
Oof.
Wow, the
Great
weight
ball.
of that pass.
Sam McCann, that was pretty.
That needed to be perfect. That was really well done.
Like a quarterback leading a wide receiver right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Clarity just stretching out. Looks like Alonzo Clark, a midfielder from Davidson, teammate of Kruchenkov, is preparing to step on for Vermont Green. I wouldn't be surprised to see him grab Clarity.
Clardy's at a good game. He's been very consistent. I almost say it's a good thing when you're not incredibly noticeable in his position because he's a little bit more defensive.
Hasn't necessarily made a big push to say, I'm going to be a starter here, but is proving you need me off the bench. I can be your guy.
Oh, what a
St.
ball.
Louis has options. Kruchenkov has time and finishes. It's DK, his first for the Green. And they extend the lead again. Dennis Kruchenkov had to score here.
And looking at this ball that just drops, there's a backspin, it dies. St. Louis gets it, a good first touch, gets his feet out. Great finish. Calm, composed. That's what DK needs right now. Needs to get onto the scoring sheet, get that confidence going. Well done.
And St. Louis, the good ball across to set things up. That's one that a striker feels, I got to score 9, maybe a full 10 out of 10 times.
Yep.
And Kruchenkov does it.
From that distance, absolutely.
The fans are happy again. A team that lost just one time a year ago at home. And that was to Saturday's matchup, Seacoast United. A rivalry preparing to be renewed this weekend. A Vermont Green team that have won 3-0, 3-0, and now lead 3-0.
Building up a head of steam.
Things have certainly gone according to plan to begin this 2023 season.
That's credit to the coaching staff and the recruiting.
Well done by Eliassi. Got to the end line. Bolia kind of dragged his body across, and it did go out for a corner. There were some appeals for a handball from the Outremont side. They don't get one.
Referees indicating, I think, a Montreal corner. Yes, a Montreal corner.
Saada will take the corner. These chances have been few and far between for the Griffins. But there's a header that they had a man rise up for.
Had his man beat. Just didn't get it.
Off the bench, that's Hamza Nakli, who just entered off the sideline.
Sorry, remind me who replaced Clardy?
That is Alonzo Clark,
Okay.
the Davidson freshman, classmates of Kruchenkov. You'll like this, Matt, this fall for Davidson, as Kruchenkov unable to break away. 7 yellow cards this fall for Alonzo Clark, a midfielder who, at least by that stat, not afraid to get his nose a little dirty.
Nope. Definitely likes to tackle with those stats.
That's Clark right there.
Okay.
He's got long legs. That stands out immediately.
Also, he's got the low shin guards, the shin pads down closer to his ankles, and the low socks. That tells you the man likes to put in a tackle because that's exactly where he's going to get hit.
I feel like that's a Jack Grealish thing. He wears those tiny little shin guards.
Jack Grealish gets fouled all the time.
He does.
There's a reason why he plays it down there.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Number 30, Cloherty coming off, who has been excellent today.
Barrett called for the foul.
And that is number 31, Alonzo Clark.
A free kick coming for Sada. Again inside the attacking third, near to the corner flag. Schnurr comes out, and again, a strong punch from the big righty.
He's got really good presence in the box. Just he's not afraid to get up and actually get in there and get a punch on it. Some goalkeepers, they stick to their line too much, and they're just hoping that they're basically banking on their defense to do all the work for it. I like a goalkeeper to come out and claim it or punch it.
Sada can't squeeze it by Bolia. He has been, Schnurr that is, aggressive off his line tonight. It's the second or third time he's come and made a strong punch on the ball. Oliveri slides it through, and that's gobbled up by Schnurr. Sure-handed. We're getting to see Nathan Schnurr in action really for the first time. Schnurr and Nick Christofferson expected to be the main two keepers this summer for Vermont Green. That was classy from Sam McCann. And now Alonzo Clark. St. Louis, he's got Nemaya streaking in front of him. Plays it down the line for the speedy Emerlin Nemaya. Cut out by the Outremont defense. Eliassi. He just slipped. But it went off of Barrett. Thomas LaBeouf, Oliveri, Eliassi, and Bolia gives up the corner. This is the most pressure that CS Mont Royal Outremont have been able to muster. Saada will once again set up this set piece. Now you're playing for the clean sheet.
Yeah, at this point, this is doing your goalkeeper a favor and playing for the clean sheet.
This time he stays home. It took a flick at the near post. Falls to the far post. The header, once again, vacuumed in by Schnurr.
And it's good defending, too, because you're limiting those chances off of corners where players, they're jumping straight up. They're not able to actually jump onto the ball, like forward.
That was nifty. Oliveri on his left foot. Chips it to the far post. And again, scares the target, but could not find Twine.
It's so interesting to watch teams sometimes, especially when they're down, 2-0, 3-0. It's late in the match for it, and they start to become almost more creative because there's just less pressure because you're already losing. Like it's so late.
A little bit of freedom in that.
Yeah, there's so much freedom in at that point, and you start to see them actually play like well. Like they actually start to play those one-touch sequence passes for it.
Bolia, early ball. Kruchenkov on the move. Couldn't quite reel it in, and it was pounced on by Finea.
Can't keep it close enough, and the Montreal goalkeeper comes to collect.
Picked back up by St. Louis. Two-man game with Kruchenkov. Jordan St. Louis. That's tackled well. Ochoa Gomez under pressure and uses Nemanja as his outlet.
Very confident.
Some ice cold defending right there.
And Clark
Altabolio
for
right
Bolia.
side.
McCann. Now it's the green who are shifting well. McCann. Bolia on the overlap. McCann. Kruchenkov just couldn't give it back to him.
Just on slightly different wavelengths there.
That was a really pretty build-up that just the final product
Yeah,
not
just
quite
that
there.
final layoff just didn't come off. But getting to those moments, that's what you want to see. Like, you want to consistently keep creating those.
The northeast corner of the pitch, and for those like me that don't know compass, that's the front right.
Fantastic ball out of the back.
Saad is on the end of it. Iliassi.
Tonight I will do after this attack.
Iliassi forced backwards. Saada under control. LaBeouf. Back he comes to Diaz. Oliveri, who's been in the mix so often. Schnurr stays home, but nobody attacking that ball for Outremont.
And Vermont Green fans, give yourself a big round of applause for coming out this Wednesday night. We have 1,750.
Corey says Ellie can't handle this much excitement. P.S. Uncle Matt, I need an autograph.
All right, Corey, I'll stop by the house and give you one.
Coming soon to you, Matt Montel autographed merch.
Set up a tea time, Corey.
St. Louis is offsides. Flag is up. Almost had that run timed perfectly.
On Saturday, to support the boys, it's a huge game.
Well, Matt, as this thing winds down tonight, we talked pregame. Who are going to be the guys that step up and stand out in a friendly to earn more playing time going forward? To you tonight, who have been the guys who you think might have earned themselves some extra moments going forward?
I think, let's see what happens.
See what develops here. Bolia handles the threat. Go ahead, I think we're safe.
Yeah, I think that's done. I would say absolutely Pope, just based off of his finish. Oh, it just keeps coming.
That was off the back of Kruchenkov's head, right to Dylan Lane. Alfred opens his stride. He's got numbers in the middle. Alfred crosses. That's well defended. McCann was looming.
It was a good ball, too. It's unfortunate it just barely didn't get through.
Iliassi. Squeezed by Barrett. Here's Oliveri. Diaz. And there's Ochoa Gomez. So Pope is one of those guys. Obviously, the bicycle is going to be the highlight to remember from tonight.
Well, I think, the difference between DK and Pope, what I noticed is DK's got more pace. And he definitely has good technique. Like, he's clearly a very good striker. Pope, I think the one part that I pointed out that he was lacking was just the physicality with his back to his defender. But otherwise, outside of that, like, his finishing is clearly phenomenal. You can't do what he just did and not actually have that level of quality. It's not necessarily just luck that got him that. I think O'Neal is definitely making a strong case for him over maybe Ashford or Ochoa. Good luck trying to displace Ashford, but that's what you want to see, based off of your entire roster. Like I was saying, those four key center backs, you could put them all together or match them up at any one of those four, and I think you still have a very solid partnership there.
I would add Dylan Lane to that mix as the kind of final guy to me that I think is going to be firmly in the mix, whether it's off the bench. It's just going to be so tough with the likes of Kamal, Zangi, Diarbian, Tellez.
Yeah, you don't see a drop-off when Dylan Lane is...
Eliassi saved by Schnurr.
And let's just highlight Schnurr.
Nathan
now,
Schnurr.
That is probably the toughest position to displace somebody that is in such good form, but Schnurr has been absolutely phenomenal when he's been called upon.
And that's the final moment of the match. The best chance of the night for Outremont. Wow, Schnurr, fingertips in.
You shall not pass.
3-0 the final tonight, Matt, in the first ever international friendly in Vermont Green FC history. They come away with a third consecutive 3-0 victory, and now Seacoast United looms.
I think we're setting expectations for the fan base, though, at this point. It was very quiet in that first half just because, there weren't a lot of chances created in the beginning. I was like, it's a little quiet out here. And I was like, are we expecting another 3-0? All of a sudden, you see Vermont Green FC was like, all right, fine. We'll put in 3.
A bicycle kick that ignited the crowd. Let's see you all out here on Saturday, everybody. I want to hear you loud and proud at Virtue Field. And, of course, if you can't make it, we'll have the broadcast right here on Vermont Green FC's website. 6 p.m. start time on Saturday. We'll hope to have the pregame show started at 5:45. I'll sit down with head coach Adam Pfeifer pregame. A solid win tonight in the international friendly. And a big thank you goes out to CS Mont Royal Outremont. Their players were excellent tonight, and great to have some fans make the trip down as well. Matt, a pleasure. I'll see you Saturday, my man.
See you, bud.
That does it for us tonight. Thanks to our entire excellent production crew. For Matt Montel, I'm Brian McLaughlin signing off from Virtue Field with Vermont Green FC Soccer.